The Trump administration deported a 2-year-old U.S. citizen in what the judge said with no meaningful process. The judge who's asking for answers about how and why this happened. A U.S. citizen, 2 years old, deported to Honduras. Now you may see that and think, all right, the child's parents were both deported. So of course they sent the child with the parents and that's how this happened. No, the father is here. The 2-year-old's father is in America, lives in America, not being deported, trying to keep the child here, and the child was sent with the mother back to Honduras. Anyway, the father has been attempting to contact the girl's mother to discuss plans for their child, but ICE officials denied him the chance to have a substantive phone call. He says ICE allowed the two to speak for about 1 minute on Tuesday while the mother was in ICE custody, but that they were unable to make any meaningful decision about the child. And they're claiming that there's a letter written in Spanish that was by the mother expressing that she wanted the child to go with her, but no one's been able to confirm that. Like, the judge is like, let me talk to the mother. Trump administration said, you can't. She's already gone. She's on a plane. Can't talk to her. And then when they got there, you can't talk to her now. She's off in Honduras somewhere. We don't know where she is. Her and this U.S. citizen that we put on a plane and sent out of the country. Oh, and just in case anyone out there is like, oh, it's these liberal judges, they just don't like Trump because of, Doherty, that's the judge in this case. Sharp criticism of the Trump administration is particularly notable because he issued a series of major decisions in favor of Trump and his allies in recent years. He's a Trump guy, and even he has to be like, this is not right. But as if that wasn't bad enough, how about this? Immigrant children, even toddlers, often have to represent themselves in immigration court.
Are you a little nervous this morning? See? Do you understand what these proceedings here in court are all about? You know what a lawyer is?
The reason we're here is because the government of the United States wants you to leave the United States. The judge told a group of about a dozen children during a virtual hearing, it's my job to figure out if you have to leave. The judge says that the number of unaccompanied children in her court without a lawyer has gone from 30% to 60%. In the U.S. immigration court system, individuals, including unaccompanied migrant children, do not have a right to a government-appointed counsel. While they're entitled to hire an attorney at their own expense, there's no provision for free legal representation, even for minors. But guess what? The U.S. has an attorney there. There's an attorney representing the United States' interest, but children have to do that alone. Just a reminder, if you go to the link in my bio, this petition is there. And you can sign this to hopefully get some members of Congress to wake the fuck up and do something about what's going on.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you guys are doing amazing. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I really do appreciate your love and support on this channel. So there is a day I did a video about the Trump administration that was considering deporting US citizens. And guys, it hasn't even yet taken a month after I did this episode, and now there's been some kids that have been deported to Honduras alongside their undocumented mothers, a 2 years old, 4 years old, and a 7 years old. Leave alone that there are US citizens that are adults that have received letters to deport themselves out of the country before the government comes for them. And this is crazy because, like, for these adults, like, where are they going to deport themselves to? They've been told to book a flight and they have to leave the country. And this is what has been trending, and this is what people have been talking about. And it's crazy to see this happening. I never expected that they'll start deporting US citizens, and it's crazy, guys. And this is the saddest thing that this administration is doing. I mean, separating families. I know we were all saying that people are actually finding out after effing around, and some of these people that are actually getting deported are not people that voted for this, because when you're like an illegal immigrant, you cannot vote. Like, these kids, their mothers didn't vote for this. They didn't vote to be separated from their dads or from their mothers. It's crazy. But I want us to watch these videos together, guys, and I would really like to know what your take take on this. And what are people even doing? Like, what are Republicans doing about this? Seeing people getting deported. Is this the way of you making America great again? Because it's crazy, because separating kids and separating families isn't making America great at all. Anyway, every clip and every stitch that you'll be seeing on our today's episode, credits belongs to the original creators of these videos that you're seeing on your screens. If you're coming across this channel for the first time, my good name is Gracie D. Kindly consider subscribing to this channel, give this video a like, and let me know what your thoughts are on the comment section. So let's just dive right ahead and we'll come back with more commentary.
We all know and understand that the Latino community voted against their own self-interest. And a lot of us, myself included, have been openly celebrating the fuck around and find out we're seeing with them in real time. And we all have preconceived notions of what that mass deportation would look like. But none of us really ever knew what it was and how heartless the US, especially the politicians, were until now. Check this out.
Are you a little nervous this morning?
Wouldn't you be?
See? Do you understand what these proceedings here in court are all about?
How could he?
Do you know what a lawyer is?
This is America.
So it turns out the term homegrowns also includes children. Why is no one talking about how 3 children, 2, 4, and 7, were deported to Honduras despite being U.S. citizens? These children were put on a plane to Honduras in April. And my answers is none of y'all business. Let's keep going. Don't even look at it, because I know you was about to say something. What's even up about this situation is that we already knew they were doing this, but what makes it more sinister is the fact that when Rubio was asked did he deport citizens, these motherfuckers said no, we deported their mothers and sent them with them. Because everybody thought the border czar was joking when he said that we could just deport the whole family. But the problem is these children are in fact U.S. citizens. Oh, to top it all off, the 4-year-old that was deported has stage 4 cancer, bro, and now has no access to her doctor or medication. And the 4-year-old girl and 7-year-old girl are siblings. Imagine having to explain putting a 4-year-old U.S. citizen who was a cancer patient on a fucking airplane and sending them to Honduras where they don't even have access to their doctor. You can't. And the only way around it through the Trump administration is apparently to gaslight and say, we just sent the kids with their moms. They're U.S. They were born in the United States. They're U.S. citizens. This is why they're trying to undo the constitutional right of birthright citizenship, because they've already been doing it. They've already been sending away the homegrowns. And in order to try to backtrack, they need to legalize it. This is alarming.
Lance woke up to an email from the Department of Homeland Security telling him his parole was being terminated and that he needed to leave the country immediately.
I was born in the United States. I was, I'm a legal citizen. I've never been charged with a crime, convicted of a crime, much less put out on parole on a crime. So my initial reaction after getting the email was it's spam.
Until he had found an immigration attorney who had received the exact same email.
And I thought, you know what, if she's taking it seriously, I better take it seriously too.
That's when he reached out to Senator Tammy Baldwin's office, who confirmed the email was sent to multiple people linked to the CBP One app, even if they weren't users.
There were some significant threats in the letter about steps that might occur if you didn't self-deport.
In a statement from Senator Baldwin sent to Local 5, she adds, "This is completely illegal. President Trump is trying to deport an American-born, law-abiding citizen and had provided absolutely no justification. The president cannot kick Americans out of the country just because he wants. No one is above the law, including the president." Some of the alarming verbiage in the email sent to France reads as follows: "If you do not depart the United States immediately, you will be subject to potential law enforcement actions that will result in your removal from the United States."
DHS had a number of questions, follow-up type questions for me that were conveyed through the senator's office. I answered those questions and then received word from the senator's office that DHS was very apologetic.
France says his experience is a warning to others.
One lesson that I learned is to treat it seriously. I mean, it could happen to anybody. I think that's a huge takeaway.
You can stay in America and not be deported. Just have to marry an incel. Yep, you heard that right. The Republican candidate for California governor who is endorsed by Trump won't deport women who are here illegally if they marry American men. But he doesn't just stop at American men. He says, we know where you are. If you marry one of our California incels, then you can stay. But if you don't, then, well, they're getting sent back across. He continues to say that it is an initiative that will encourage family formation in the state of California. Fostering healthy, stable young families is his #1 priority. Because yes, nothing says healthy, stable young family like a woman who is fleeing her home country and being forced to marry an American incel. Incels who are self-proclaimed woman haters and who degrade women every day on the internet.
All right, MAGA, now is your time to speak up, because we now have a citizen of the United States who was born in Georgia is going to be deported from Florida, a 21-year-old kid, where they brought his birth certificate to court. The judge authenticated it and then said, I'm sorry, I don't have a jurisdiction to let you go. ICE is on their way. Now's your time to say something. That kid was a passenger in a car on his way to a job. And they arrested him under suspicion of entering the United States illegally. And even when they had proof, it doesn't matter. So now's the time. When y'all said, oh, this won't happen, they're going to send this kid out. They're going to send this kid to El Salvador for doing what? He is a citizen. What you would do in this moment is what you would have done in Germany in 1930. You have to call out your side because blue can't do it. It's you. And this is all on you. And if you say nothing, you are complicit in this evil.
We just learned that a 2-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 7-year-old, all U.S. citizens, all born in the United States, were deported this week. The 2-year-old, her parents are from Honduras, undocumented. And she was born in New Orleans. And a Trump-appointed judge is very upset with the government right now because the government claimed that the mother requested her daughter to come with her to Honduras. And a judge says, well, you might tell me that, but I need evidence of it. And before the judge got evidence of it, they just deported the 2-year-old. One of the other children has a rare form of cancer. ICE was notified of this, notified of the child's medical needs. Reportedly, the child didn't get to see a doctor, didn't get any of the medicine they needed, and was deported anyways. All U.S. citizens.
American citizen children were just deported by ICE. One was battling cancer. One mother is pregnant, and it all happened this week. On Friday morning, ICE in New Orleans deported 3 U.S. citizen kids along with their mothers, despite their legal right to stay. According to ACLU of Louisiana, these families had lived here for years, were tied to their communities, and were ripped away without warning. One of the children was actively receiving cancer treatment. Another mother is pregnant, and now they're in another country, struggling to survive. The ACLU warns that these sudden deportations raise serious due process concerns. This is disturbing, but I want to assume that the kids were deported with their parent. However, where is the father of these kids if they're still here in the United States and willing to take care of the kids? Why can't the kids stay in the United States? Why does the child have to be deported? Comment and let me know your thoughts.
This is what it's come to. A U.S. citizen is being held in a detention center by ICE. Not a resident, not a green card holder, not even someone who had applied for citizenship and gotten it, like as a grown-up, which would be valid if he had. No, he was born here in the state of Georgia, and he was traveling to Tallahassee, and there's a law in the books, which is being challenged, by the way, in Florida, that says it's illegal for an undocumented person to enter the state. The car he was in was pulled over. He wasn't driving. He was the passenger. He was suspected of no crime other than being an undocumented person entering the state, and he was arrested for that. And then he had a court date where his mother showed up with his birth certificate, handed it to the judge. The judge confirmed this is an authentic birth certificate. This person is a U.S. citizen by birth, and my hands are tied. There's nothing I can do because he's on a federal ICE hold. His crime was being brown and having a Latino name. That's what he was guilty of. And he is still incarcerated right now as a U.S. fucking citizen. Hey, Miami Cubans that are all pro-Trump, this can be you. It happens this easy. People who aren't getting due process are being shipped to a prison in El Salvador. And now people who are U.S. citizens and are proving I'm a U.S. citizen are still being incarcerated. You need to be worried.
It is time for you to leave the United States. That's the email that Nicole Maccheroni got from the Department of Homeland Security just last week. That email went on to say she had to leave within 7 days or, quote, the government will find you. But here's the thing. Maccheroni is a U.S. citizen, born and raised in Massachusetts, and an immigration attorney. Walk us through what happened and what DHS is saying, which is, as I understand it, you have to leave.
It does seem like crazy town. So I got an email from DHS on Friday morning. I am an immigration attorney. It came to my work email. I get emails from DHS. I get emails from ICE, usually about clients. This one was a little bit different because there was no client name on it. There was no case number on it. It was just my information, and they were asking me to leave the United States.
She had to leave within 7 days or, quote, the government will find you.
It's on purpose. It's all on purpose. Guaranteed. Guaranteed.
Can you imagine how heartless you have to be for you to even allow a sick child to be deported? This is crazy, guys. I never expected this to happen. In as much as after people were saying that there was a lot that was gonna happen with the new administration, no one saw this coming. No one saw kids being in the court representing themselves with no lawyer, with no adult to help them. Just by themselves. As you've seen that video of that child who's been asked, do you know why you are here? This is crazy because he's very young to be understanding all that. He's not a criminal. The only mistake that the child has done is being born in the United States of America, and now this child has to go and sit in a court by himself with no parents, with no lawyer. Well, there are some lawyers, which is quite crazy, that are actually defending on to why these kids should be deported. They're actually on the side of what the new administration is doing, giving all the reasons to the judge as to why these kids should not be in the United States of America. I mean, how heartless can you be as a grown-up to sit there and give reasons as to why an innocent child who was born and raised for those few years that they've been in this world in the United States of America, and you're there with your conscious mind sitting there telling the judge as to why this child should be deported. You all said that you were deporting criminals, but now we can clearly see. Just the other day, as I said when I was starting my intro, is that the new administration had talked on, deporting US citizens. And now we are clearly seeing it happen. I've seen a video of this man that I've also stitched on this video, who is kind of in his 50s, was born and raised in the United States of America, and they received a letter that they have to deport themselves. And I'm asking myself, where will they deport themselves to? which country will they go to? Because if they have to go to any country, they'll need a visa. And even if in that country that they'll go, they don't require to pay for the visa, there's a period of time that they are supposed to be in that country. So this is quite crazy, and I don't know what is happening. Honestly, with everything that's going on in the United States of America, no one is able to understand what's happening. It feels like they're actually living in the old age, because how can this be happening in a country that you guys always call a first world country? I had done my own research, because we always have the doubting Thomases who are always like, no, this is not happening. They're only deporting illegal immigrants and undocumented people. But there have been documented instances during President Trump's his second term now that he is in, that where he's been deporting US citizens, including children that were detained under immigration enforcement actions. So in April 2025, reports emerged that Immigration and Customs Enforcement deported 3 US-born children aged 2, 4, and 7 to Honduras alongside their undocumented mothers. One of these children, a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer, was reportedly deported without access to necessary medical care or communication with her doctors. The administration contended that the children were not forcibly deported but accompanied their mothers voluntarily. However, legal experts and immigration advocates argue that the rapid deportations executed without proper legal procedures effectively amounted to the unlawful removal of US citizens. It's quite crazy. Even if, like, let's say you are in my house and I really want you gone, but you're here receiving care and I need you gone, or maybe you're with your child, I'll give you time to stay until your child recovers or until your child is in a stable condition to live. Imagine deporting a 4-year-old with stage 4 cancer. It's quite crazy and very, I don't even know, like, who are these people working in these ICE agents? Who are these officers? Are they parents? Do they have siblings? Do they think about this? Do they have conscience for them to be like, what if this was my niece? What if this was my child? What would I have done? Or how would I have felt seeing my niece, my child, or my cousin, or any relative of my family members going through this, being deported, and they need good care with the conditions that they are in? And the fact that they're 4 years old, I mean, guys, this is quite painful. I know people are like, yeah, they effed around and now they all have to find out. It's quite sad, because like, this is an innocent child that's going through a lot health-wise with stage 4 cancer, and now she has to go through all these struggles of being detained and deported to a country that she probably knows nothing about. You don't even know the conditions that they're going to live in when they get in that country, and these people, they just don't care, which is quite crazy. I also saw that a federal judge, Terry Doughty, according to on this case of the 2-year-old, expressed concerns over the deportation of a 2-year-old US citizens identified as VML, stating that the child appeared to have been removed from the country with no meaningful process. The judge scheduled a hearing to investigate the circumstances surrounding the deportation, but allegedly the Trump administration didn't give the judge that. Quite crazy. So beyond these cases, there have been instances where US citizens were wrongfully detained or deported. For example, Kilma Abrego Gracia, a US citizen, was deported to El Salvador. A federal judge accused the Trump administration of obstructing the truth about his wrongful deportation, highlighting a willful and bad faith refusal to comply with discovery obligation. Additionally, a report indicated that at least 7 US citizens have been detained, deported, or otherwise targeted by the Trump administration mass deportation campaign, with the actual number likely being higher. Also, President Trump has publicly suggested the possibility of detaining US citizens abroad. In April 2025, he mentioned exploring a proposal to detain US citizens and send them to prisons in El Salvador, while the White House later clarified that this idea was simply floated. It has raised concerns among legal experts and civil rights advocates about the potential erosion of constitutional protection. This is quite crazy, guys, because this administration, it's kind of that they're not even considering that they're deporting US citizens, like people who've been born and raised in the United States of America, people that some don't even know anything else because their parents, their grandparents have been in the US. It's crazy because, guys, if this new administration is planning to deport every immigrant in the United States of America, including those that are now legal citizens, they should start with the European Americans, because we all know, like, the only people that have the right to live in the United States of America without having any issues are the Native Americans. So they're just giving people a hard time. And it's quite sad because Republicans that were out there chanting and happy and clapping of making America great again, is this the way of you guys making your country great? Because, I mean, it's crazy that this 2025 and after this new administration and after the election is now how most people are actually seeing the US for what it is. And people are like, I don't believe this is America. Like, how can this be happening in the United States of America? It's crazy. But let me know what your thoughts are on the comments section, guys. And also maybe tell us on the comment section, do you know anyone who is a US citizen that has been detained or deported to, I don't know where, because when you're a citizen of that country, unless you are a dual citizen, then you can be deported to the other country that you're also a citizen. But when you're only a citizen of the United States of America, like, where are they going to deport you? It's crazy. Let me know in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching up to this part, and until the next episode, bye.